Hello everybody, it's Anna here again today, and today we are at Greenfield Valley Heritage Park here in Holywell in North Wales, just up the road from where we filmed our last video of St Winifred's Well. So come along and join us, you're very welcome. Don't forget, welcome in Welsh is croeso. So here at Greenfield Valley Heritage Park, it's 1.5 miles that you can explore an exciting 70 acres of woodland and 2,000 years of history with lakes, streams, ancient monuments and historic factories around every corner. And there's also a museum and visitor centre to learn more about our amazing history. Actually 800 years of heritage to discover, where you can find out about agriculture, social and industrial history. It also has a giant adventure playground, educational activities and a changing programme of events. Something for all ages really, but today we're here to look around the old factory machinery, here we see it, and to also learn some history, which is very fascinating. So we'll start at the beginning, the early history. Now, the fast flowing water that rises from a spring in Holywell and runs down here to the sea has carved the story of this valley. So Greenfield Valley's history literally springs from the constant flow of water, which was vital to the industry, agriculture and the daily lives of the people. And so we're going to be looking around here, and we're actually at the old factories. That's what we're focusing on today, and you'll see bits of machinery from there. But Greenfield Valley's history literally does spring from the constant flow of water. So if you just remember that for a minute, the earliest evidence for occupation in this area is some Roman pottery found during building work on the museum visitor centre, and the Romans were attracted to this area for the mineral deposits above Holywell. By early medieval times, the valley had grown in importance as part of a boundary with the English kingdoms, the earliest of which is a section of a place called WAT'S DYKE, which is a defensive ditch to mark the boundary in the 8th century. Now, around the same time, pilgrims began to travel to the well at Holywell, the well that was featured on our channel last week, St Winifred's Well. So if you want to know more about that, you can go back and look at the video if you want to. But basically they were drawn to the legend of St Winifred and the reputed healing powers of the waters, and a church was probably built around 1093 and a castle in which Henry II of England took refuge while visiting the well. And to look after the numbers of visitors to the well, monks set up a monastery here at Basingwerk Abbey. Now we've also got a video on our channel of Basingwerk Abbey if you want to look at that, if you're interested. It ties it all in because it's all based here at the Heritage Park, and we'll be showing a few photos or a little bit of footage, maybe some video towards the end of this video of Basingwerk Abbey. But basically the massive amount of visitors that came to the well for the healing waters, monks had to set up a monastery here, Basingwerk Abbey. That's what happened around 1131. A royal charter was granted in 1157, leading to the construction of a stone abbey and the further development of the valley. The monks farmed the land around Basingwerk Abbey and used the water from the valley for their corn and for mills until the dissolution of the abbey, which happened in 1536. By the end of the 16th century, Holywell was the largest town in northeast Wales. Small industries had been introduced, such as lead smelting, but were very poisonous to the plant and animal life in the valley, and local residents complained, and an angry crowd even pulled down one smelting building in 1590. But by the beginning of the 18th century, a number of more successful industries were operating here, including 3 corn mills and 2 snuff mills. And in the 1750s, new industries appeared, fueled by new technologies in smelting and working copper, zinc, and other minerals mined locally. It's just all so very, very interesting, and it's a really beautiful place to walk and spend quite a lot of the day, really, because they've got cafes, a couple of cafes there, one cafe indoor, and then they've got a little outdoor hut. But do check the website if you're interested, at this time of year especially. Anyway, but in addition, let's get back to the point. I've digressed again. In addition, Greenfield's proximity to the River Dee was an advantage for trading with Liverpool, a growing centre for international trade, and a dock was built at Greenfield Valley here, and this allowed around 40 vessels to operate from here, carrying cargoes of 30 to 50 tonnes. By the 1780s, copper and cotton factories dominated the many industries in this valley, and the Paris Mine Company brought copper from Anglesey to be turned into bowls and manillas for trade in West Africa, and it was this company, more than any other, that launched Greenfield and Holywell onto the international economic stage. And with thousands of British ships trading all over the world, copper sheets and bolts made here at Greenfield were essential to the economy and brought success and growth to Holywell and the valley. And by 1800, Holywell had grown to over 5,500 people, and new rows of houses were built for the factory workers, such as Battery Row and Tai Coed. And this peak of success was not to last, however, and the 19th century saw more uncertain times of boom and bust. The valley never regained the prosperity of the 1780s, and the early 19th century saw a decline in the copper industry, mainly due to cheaper imports from abroad, and the industries which had brought prosperity to Holywell gradually faded away, creating considerable depression and unemployment. As the old industries declined, others took over from their success and were able to reuse and renovate old mill buildings and infrastructures. Companies such as Newton-lyon took over the old Paris Mine Company sites for brassworks, and Holywell in the 1830s was ranked as third most important brass-making centre in the whole of Great Britain. The cotton trade became highly competitive, and even with the introduction of steam power, the Greenfield mills were restricted in size and could not compete with the large Lancashire cotton mills. Child labour was still common in many factories in the valley, with many children forced to work for long hours. You can't imagine it today, but that's what happened then. And the advent of the railway to Holywell in 1869 did not create the economic revival it had promised, and the Holywell Railway Company took over old tramways used to transport goods from the quarries down to the dock, and although not a major success, a new station at Holywell Junction was opened in 1913, and with a gradient of 1 in 27, it was the steepest passenger railway in Great Britain, and we'll see that any minute now. There it is. Anyway, by the First World War, Holywell Textile Mill was a well-established manufacturer of woolen clothes, and while many industries struggled during the war, some, like the textile mill, saw an opportunity by making soldiers' uniforms, and Courtaulds was growing into an international company in the 1920s. And here we are now at Basingwerk Abbey. If you want to know more about this, look at the separate video on our channel because it is very fascinating. So to conclude then, by the 1920s, like I said, Courtaulds was growing into the international company, making the new fashionable man-made fibres such as rayon. By the 1960s, it had built 2 new factories here and employed thousands of local people. Abbey Paper Mill was established in 1821. That was another large employer and survived the other short-lived industries of the 19th century, finally closing its doors in 1982. So that's a condensed history here at Greenfield Valley Heritage Park. 2,000 years of history here, and hope you've enjoyed it. But we'll leave it there for today, and we'll say ta-ta for now, and we'll see you on the next adventure, or the next Welsh lesson, or the next Welsh history lesson. Don't forget to keep practicing your Welsh, because practice makes perfect. Ta-ta for now. Nos da.